draws them up out in Bakersfield. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, it is Wednesday, August 31st, and this is a special meeting of the Dayton Town Council. Okay, we'll take roll call. Mark?
Here.
Stan is not here. Ron?
Here.
Carla? Present. And I'm here, so we have 4 of us. All right, first up is ordinances. We have 3 ordinances. One about wards, which is a discussion. One about meeting dates, like the actual day of the week and the week of the month. And then meeting notice is how much notice we give before we call a meeting. We're just changing it to 48 hours to follow, like, we made ours more restrictive for some reason, I don't know when, but it said 72 hours instead of 48. So that's what we're changing for that.
And the 48 is the state requirement?
Correct. So what I put in the ordinance was that we are just gonna follow the state statute. So if that changes, we change with it, and then we don't have to keep
That's perfect.
updating it. Does anybody have any specific questions that I can answer on any of this conversation?
Which one?
Whichever one.
So we'll just start, let's
haven't seen it.
start with A, so we'll start with wards.
I haven't seen any of them, so.
Let me, well, that's my fault. And that's because, so what I did, so the wards one I haven't drafted yet. So that's why you haven't seen that one, because I think we need to discuss whether or not we want to do it.
Yes.
I do know that we can do it if we want to and make it at large. But I haven't drafted that because I was going to, and then I thought, you know what, if y'all decide not to do it, I'm going to waste your money. So I didn't do that one. But with the wards, we can eliminate the wards and just make it every council member at large. We would just need to basically draft an ordinance that says that we can do that. So it's not that complicated. There is a statute that Mark brought up regarding annexation, and the pertinent section basically says that the legislative body of a municipality may annex territory, and then they must assign the territory annexed by ordinance to at least one municipal legislative body district. But that section doesn't really apply. It appears that it doubly doesn't apply in our situation. First, because there is a section that says that it does not apply to towns, and then the second section also says that that particular subsection does not apply to a town that has abolished the town legislative body district under 36.5 to 4.1. So all we would need to do is just make sure that we follow 36.5 to 4.1 and do an ordinance that states exactly what we need to say, and then we would be fine to do that if we wanted to.
And why are we wanting to abolish the wards?
Because I think it's silly that we have a town of 1,600 people and you don't get to vote for every person on the council. And when the last council was redoing the wards, there were ample people that spoke out and said, how about no wards? How about no wards? It doesn't make sense to have wards. Like, if this many people lived in Lafayette, they wouldn't get 3 votes, they'd get 5 votes. They'd get to vote for everybody. Like, it doesn't make sense that somebody has to, live here to serve on the council, but 2 people can't live there unless one's at large. It doesn't make sense for a town our size to have wards. And
See, and I disagree.
I think I should be able to vote for every person that represents me on the council. I shouldn't get to just vote for 3. And I think the same for everybody else in town. They should get to vote for everybody.
So what's your thoughts, Carla?
I think that everybody should vote for everybody, which I thought we had changed the voting ordinance for that. But I still think that it's good to have someone representing the different wards there, someone living within each ward, so that if someone wants to go to someone specifically, not that they can't go to anybody, that's never been an issue, but if there's a problem going on in a certain area of town and I live in that area of town, I think that I might be more inclined to push for something to get done, but if I don't live in that area of town, I'm not sure that it would pressure me as much to take care of whatever that issue is. So I think it's good to have someone in those areas, but I definitely think everyone should be able to vote for all persons on the council. And I don't see why one would preclude the other.
So you can only elect someone that's to a ward that lives within that ward? That's currently how things are done?
Yeah, so like,
Unless they're at large.
like you have to live in this ward, and if two people want to, like if me and my neighbor both want to sit on the council, one of us either has to be at large or one of us isn't going to sit on the council. Even if me and my neighbor are both very qualified and very committed and very much want to serve the town in that capacity, well, sorry, you live too close to somebody else. You don't get to both sit on the council. Because only one person from that part of town. Which, so before I was ever on the council, I did go to the person that was my representative in my ward and literally didn't even get to talk to the person. They had no interest in it. And it just doesn't make sense. We are this big. Like, Dayton is so small that parts of town don't make sense. Like, we're all from Dayton. You know, it's not like we're all from Lafayette. Well, which part of Lafayette? Like, I'm from Dayton. You know, we're this big, so.
I got a comment.
Okay.
Years ago, first of all, this ward thing has always been an issue over the last 20 years. Every council's talked about it. And basically, it came down that a couple ran the council that didn't have people running against them, so they wanted wards because they wouldn't stay in their ward, told everybody else to stay out of their ward. I heard that many times. But the head of the election board, Brian Magnus, used to live here. When I'd go down and talk to him, his thoughts were, Ron, why do you guys even have wards? You got 1,500 people at that time. Lafayette, you're smaller, your whole town's smaller than most districts and wards in these other towns and stuff, you know. I want to read something that is what I would say, but somebody else is saying it, okay? Can I do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this is in a debate in 2014, October, about the wards. And it's got three opinions here. Mr. Laniger spoke about eliminating the 2 wards that are in town for the next election. He said that it has not really worked out for any purpose that a ward should normally be in place for. The council does not treat people in any one ward any differently than any other wards. Mr. Laniger said that the effect of wards is damaging on the council and the town. When a person runs in a ward and another person runs also in that ward, you may have 100 more votes than any others in the ward or at large, but you lose because you were in that ward. That goes against and then stops. Mr. Laniger said that the town has 520 residents with its houses and does not have a reason to normally see wards or districts that are in other cities. So he would like to abolish the wards and see all persons run at large. Mr. Laniger said that you could find yourself in trouble if someone decides to run in the same ward, just eliminating a good person from serving on the council. We could lose a president and a vice president, and that seems wrong to me. Mr. Merkel said that the last election was a good example because we lost a man on the board that had been on the board for a long, long time, merely because of a few votes in a large situation. His concern is that maybe a small concern, that it gives the population a single person to talk to, but that's a small argument. Mr. Merkel said that the townspeople could call any one of us through our website. Mr. Laniger said that they could come up here, but doubted that many people even knew how many wards there were and who was in them. And I, one time, did a survey of 180 people who walked into this office, and only 2 people even knew that there were how many wards, and even knew the name of their ward person. Everybody else didn't know. Mr. Merkel said that Mr. Hayes did come up, fill a spot on the council, but did not live in that particular ward. Mr. Harris said that that's why we went to 3 wards years ago, so people could come from anywhere. Mr. Laniger said that there are 7 people running, then the 5 top people who get the highest votes should get elected. Ms. Nice, Tammy Nice, said that she is against the wards and is all for at-large and let the best person win. Mr. Kohler said that the last several elections, candidates got together and then they finagle how to get the person to run against another person, and pick and choose them in the wards. He said that all the council members support all the residents of the town, not just who is in your ward. And I think Mr. Laniger said that we direct people not because of the location, but because of what the issue is at hand, because we are not that large of a community. Mr. Kohler said that people come in the office and ask, who is the head of this? And they do not say, I want to talk to my ward person, because they don't even know. Mr. Bowman said that 80% of the people really don't care who their ward guy is. Ms. Merkel agreed with that. Ms. Nice said that we should do something to change this. So anyway, that's sort of my thoughts on, I think that spells out a lot of, I think there's pluses and minuses of both, but it's always been that whoever they want to take down, they pick and choose somebody, and it just seems easier to have the top 5 people, and the best people win it. And if somebody comes and wants to know streets, they go to Stan or Mark. If they want to know something else, I mean, you, or like Stan, helps somebody, whether on north end, south end, east end, or west end. It doesn't have to be in his ward. So, anyway, that's my thoughts.
And I think you made a lot of really good points, which I just want to reiterate a couple of them. So, yes, council members should not just care about their part of town or what benefits them, which unfortunately that has happened before. We've been stuck with council members that really just cared about what benefit them or what benefit their part of town or the parts of town they cared about. It shouldn't be like that, which is even more reason for everybody to be at large. So we don't get stuck with somebody in a ward because they're the only person that ran in that ward and they're a selfish person, but we're stuck with them because nobody ran against them for whatever reason. Because, a multitude of reasons that maybe they didn't want to run against that person. Also, voting last time was crazy. So many people were like, I didn't even know who was in my ward. Like, they got to the voting booth and they were like, I saw these other people and I heard from so-and-so, but I didn't get to vote for that person. Like, if you went around and said, knocked on somebody's door and said, what ward are you? Who's your representative, your ward representative? Probably most of us would have no idea because it doesn't matter. We have a town council. We don't have a ward representative making decisions for them. Last point that I want to make is when the last council was changing the wards, I did a lot of research, a lot of calling, and a lot of looking into ordinances, and small towns our size in Indiana don't have wards. They are all at large. I mean, you would be hard-pressed to find another small town, or many small towns our size, that still have wards.
Because they're small, they don't move.
Yeah, they took the opportunity to abolish them. I think that was all my thoughts. Did you have anything left? You have not had a chance? Fine.
Well, I guess it's one thing I could see where wards could keep from happening is concentration of too much power in one area. I don't know that that's something we have to worry about, but that would be a concern, that you've got 5 people live next door to each other and all of a sudden they're wanting to run the whole town. So I don't know what the answer is. You know, you probably never do know until you already know what the answer is. But I would guess that this town could probably run without wards. If the majority of towns do, and they're effective, then I don't know why we could.
In the past, you have had a lot of people on a certain street, but I like to think that all of the 10 past councils, all of them helped everybody. I don't think anybody's ever like ganged up together and not done something. I mean, we're doing streets and stuff in all areas of this town. We're doing sidewalks in all areas. If somebody comes up and needs something done on the north end, east end, whatever, we jump to it. We don't, I think that's always been a good thing about all the councils, that because we are so small, everybody we all look at it as, I look at the north end, east end, the same as my area, it's just another street, we're all a community, so.
So what would be the negative of all the people from one area? Like, what if 5 people from Deerfield sat on the council? Like, what would be the drawback of that?
Well, I'm not gonna say it could happen, but potentially, if you wanted to have any street improvements, they would all get done in Deerfield.
See, and if they were terrible people who weren't serving their town for the right reasons, that could happen. But those 5 people would have been elected up against literally anybody else in town. You know what I mean? So like if the town picked those 5 people, those 5 immoral, terrible character people, like it was because they were chosen, like the whole town picked those bad people up against literally anybody else. So I just don't.
You're right, and I will say one thing, we had a perfect thing. We had, all our elections have had wards and at large, and 4 years ago, the old board, we were all elected from all over this town, and they went and they threw out that Pazer report by the engineers that you're supposed to use on the streets, and what did they do? They handpicked the streets that where they lived or had relatives or had friends. Harrison Street was a big example, it was put ahead of 19 other streets. So that didn't do any good in that case. That happened anyway. They just got together. I mean, anybody, you can be from, we're so a small town, all of us have always been friends basically, until the subdivision came along, that everybody, if somebody wanted stuff, you tried to help all wards, but that proved right there that they did something out of the ordinary and helped themselves instead of helping the town get the other streets done.
Okay, public comment?
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane. And I actually have spoken to various councils. I think they're probably the 3rd one that I've said something about this on when they were deciding on wards. And not once did I really have a strong opinion on whether or not we needed wards. I always felt the whole town needed to be able to vote for 5 council members, but whether or not they were wards, I could have gone one way, either way. It just wasn't that big of a deal. But somebody said to me the other day, why would the council need to dictate to us that one person needs to be from this part of town and this part of town, this part of town? Can't we make our own choice about that? If there's a person running in each part of town, we can choose that to make their location a priority. And when we decide who to vote for. If we want 5 council members spread throughout town, that's who we can vote for. It's our choice. So, as Stan would say, let the people vote.
Mr. Stanley,
He would.
anything else? Carla? So I feel strongly that we need to abolish the wards, and we should have an ordinance drawn up, saying that. consensus that that's what we want?
Well, I agree with you. I certainly think we should.
Okay. Okay, that's two. Anyone else? Anyone else?
I think you should too.
Okay. So that was it for that. That was just discussion. The next thing is meeting dates. So the change in this ordinance originally came about because our ordinance now says, that we meet, I don't actually remember, like the first
So-
Monday of the month or
Yeah,
something.
it said it was the first Monday of the
Yeah,
month,
we don't meet the first Monday of the month.
and that's not true. So I've done, well, 3 things. The first one that I did was a combination of the meeting 72-hour rule and the date of the meetings, and then I split them into 2 separate ones in case you want to pass one or the other. But essentially what I did for the meeting date one is I put that regular meetings would be on the second Monday of every month, and then if a holiday falls on the same day, then that would be rescheduled by the town council. And then for the time of the meetings, so what I pass around is the 2 separate ordinances, or we can do it all together, it doesn't really matter. And then for the time of the meetings, for the special meetings, I just put that instead of having the special meetings have to require 72 hours of notice, they would just require notice as required by Indiana Code 514-1.55. And so those were the 2 changes to those 2 sections of that ordinance that we had previously passed.
But then, it's going to change even more because next year, we won't be meeting, on a Monday anymore. Because our very lovely attorney will not be available. So, we have to pick a new week and day to meet.
Or you can pick a new attorney, either way. But
I put no on that. So pretty much the first, third, and fourth week, pretty much we can have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, except the second week we can't have Tuesday. So does anybody have like a standing commitment that like, well, I can't, I know you do for area plan, the third week Wednesday, right? That's a definite no, that's out. Do you have any days, weeks or days of the month that is like a hard no?
Well, so it's only gonna be, Tuesdays are really not good for me, but if it's only gonna be once a month, then I can make an exception for that.
Okay. Do you have any days that are like a hard no?
I'm always available, but I think Thursday and Friday should be out because it's toward the end. Well, some people leave even on Thursday and get out of town and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I like Tuesday or Wednesday, except on Carlos Wednesday, you know.
So are Mondays out totally, or just the second Monday?
Mondays are out totally.
yeah, I have a meeting for other municipalities every single Monday, starting January 1. So,
And the only Tuesday that's available is anything with the second Tuesday.
correct.
Yes, first, third, or fourth Tuesday.
How about the third Tuesday?
I don't like the first week of the month is just, I think that's just too tough.
Yeah.
Holidays and too many issues I think that would present. First week is problematic no matter what day.
Well,
I would love third Tuesday, but are you sure, Mark? Because that's not like our only option.
Well, no, I think that's what we should do.
Okay. I was just thinking Wednesdays, are not for everybody, but some people have church Wednesday evenings. So it totally could be on a Wednesday, but
So what I'm hearing is third Tuesday of the month.
yes.
Okay, so with regard to that, you all can do one of 2 things, and you don't have to do it today, because I know I was a little tardy in getting you a draft of that. But we can either, at the next meeting, vote to put the ordinance in place with Mondays for now, and then redo it in January or December, or we can just put well, we could do it where we put that it's gonna be Monday until January 1st, or we can just wait. So whatever you all wanna do, it does not matter to me.
So the third Tuesday wouldn't go into effect until the first January meeting of 2023.
If you wanted to do it earlier, I can do that, that's no problem for me, but I assumed that you would rather stick with your normal schedule for the rest of this year.
Since they're scheduled now or
Yeah.
like that. What was I gonna say? I mean, wouldn't it be just simpler just to say it's in effect until the end of 2022 and then effective January 1?
Yep, I can add that language, it's no problem.
Why kick a dead horse? Let's just do it all in one and be done.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't that make sense?
I like that idea because I don't necessarily want to wait on the meeting notice one. I'd really like to get that changed to 48 hours just in case we do need to call meetings like the rest of the year.
Okay, fine, I can do that.
Okay, cool.
I'll have that ready for the next time we meet.
And will you get it to me
I will do my very
as
best.
soon as, and then I can get it on the website?
Yes, I will do
Okay.
my very best.
Cool. All right, that takes care of those. Next is the 2023 budget discussion. So we do have the budget hearing at our regular September meeting and then the budget adoption in October. But I put this on here so we could have some like preliminary discussion. It's not to say nothing can be changed after this, but if anybody had anything, like I had two things for sure. Our fire contract needs to be increased. We were paying $20,500, and starting next year, we're paying $29,070. And then we need to, in my opinion, increase our community enrichment fund. We have that at $2,000, but I would love to bump that to $10,000 next year. And then another thing that we're spending a lot of money on, but doesn't really need to be budgeted differently, but I just want to point out, is the cost of fuel. Because we were spending like $600 a month on fuel, and we are now spending $1,200 a month on fuel, which can't be helped, but just,
So I have a couple of questions.
yes.
So the fire contract, why is that increasing?
So we talked to Van Crum, and it's increasing for a few reasons. We haven't had an increase since, do you remember what I told you, what she said? 2000 something.
Well, it's always been 20,000, they went up just.
We haven't had a
little.
big increase for a long, long, long time. So that's a major reason. And also, they have increased costs too.
And what was the dollar amount again?
So it was $20,500, and next year is $29,000 and $29,070.
Well, the two main reasons they pointed out was Stoops
Oh,
and the Baker Farm
subdivision.
subdivision, because they
I missed
originally said they would charge about $100 a house or so, for increased fire, so. And then Stoops is a vast area up there, that was my understanding, was the two main reasons.
Yeah. So I guess their increased costs haven't happened yet, but they plan ahead because they know. Yeah,
I have a comment on that.
yes.
Are they basing it on projections, or, because I just know that I haven't heard any runs to Stoops or Baker Farms. So I just wondered
I thought they were just.
how they're coming up with that figure.
In there, they had said originally in that fiscal report, I think, didn't they, that it'd be about $100 a year for new houses?
Per house.
Per house. I mean, that was just projected, they would increase it, and then, Pam just said maybe, there haven't been any fire runs, but it must be they're thinking about it, like up at Stoops, if something happens there, there's gonna be a.
Do we know how many houses are actually built and people are living in currently?
There's 30, I think I counted the other day, there's like 27 that are up and all the way built, but I think there's 31 total with the foundation or the walls going up, which means they'll be up, those 31 houses or so. the way
Right, but
up
how many
there.
people are actually living out there?
Oh, I don't know, Mark, how many people are in the houses?
Probably 15.
I'm sorry?
Probably 15 houses are occupied.
But I imagine they must do it, like, they must project, is that the word you used? Because this is the 2023 fire contract. And they did say that also, like, a place like Stoops would be a much different run than if my house caught on fire. Or like other warehouses, or, because it's just so different.
Well, all the chemicals and all those products and oils,
Yeah.
greases and everything they use, solvents.
They do, just so everybody understands, they do have a sprinkler system according to code at Stoops, so
Cool.
that's why there's a 6-inch main going to that.
They got a cement building too.
But that's what they told us.
And it's not really like we can't really do much about it.
It's not negotiable.
Yeah.
So compared to some other little towns, we're getting a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
We've always.
I wish I
done
could
pretty
remember
good.
what year she said. Do you remember? A significant increase? We haven't had one for,
No, it was 19,800 for like 14 years. And then it went up to, I thought it was 20,500.
I thought it was- Yeah, I thought that was just 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, just
But
2 or
that's not
3 years.
significant, I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
considering, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been 19,800 for most.
2009 maybe? I don't know. So we're all good with increasing that? We want fire
So
inspection?
this budget estimate that's published now is truly just that, it's an estimate. It's can be
Right.
adjusted.
Right. Yes.
So community enrichment, just help me understand what that entails and why we want or need the increase.
So, community enrichment was things like Santa coming to Dayton, the patriotic parade, the pumpkin patch, and whatever we do on, like pumpkin patch weekend or whatever. I don't know. I mean, whatever we want to do for community enrichment. And the reason I think that it needs to be increased is because we spend a lot of money on a lot of other things, like sidewalks and roads, which I think are very important, and we should spend money on those, but I also think that people are very important, and building a sense of community and belonging and being proud of where you're from, and,
Well, and it allows room for growth and for other events, so that we're not constantly coming back and saying, hey, can we get some back for extra money?
right,
Right.
But you want to go from 2,000 to 10,000?
yeah.
I think
That's pretty substantial.
we spent more than 2 before, or other we had in the past.
So the $2,000 was originally for, a movie night, which we've not done a movie night, but we've done other things.
And several of those things basically went over budget, and we got, well, I don't know, we went over budget, but I know we had a lot of donations to help cover costs.
Yeah,
To keep within those costs, and so, which is good, but if we want to expand and have other events in town,
right.
I think, and things are expensive.
And we don't have to spend $10,000, just because we put it on that line item doesn't mean we have. We're not gonna have money burning a hole in our pocket at the end of the year.
I think you're right. I think it's good for the community, and the vast amount of monies we spend on some other projects, this is a drop in the bucket, but yet gets a real sense of pride and everything for the community. Look at the turnout on these other events, I think it's fabulous. So, and like you say, we don't have, we don't need it, we don't need it. But
So, but when you do this budget, then the taxes that people pay are based on the budget.
Right, so we wouldn't change any, we would just be moving money.
But this $10,000, the difference here is $8,000, so that's $8,000 of new money.
No, same money, but we would just move it
So where would
from a
this,
different.
this 8,000 would come out of somewhere else, then that's how that works?
Right, exactly. Because there's this, I can get you one that has it more broken down, but yeah, there's a lot of funds that I think we could draw from for a lot of things that, like if you look at appropriation report or a fund report, that we aren't spending all the money in that category or any of the money in that category. So we definitely have the money. I'm not asking to increase the budget at all.
Okay.
It's just reappropriating the
Yeah,
funds. to
reallocating
fund.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I'm
so we're
definitely
not
not,
asking for money, we're just wanting to shift it.
yes.
For sure. Paper budget versus money budget.
Will we be
Yeah.
having any kind of budget meetings or workshops where you go through every line item and discuss like what he's talking about? This is what we have, what we didn't spend, and talk to possibly department heads on what they would like to suggest for upcoming equipment needs for the upcoming year?
Well, you can do that at any time. You don't have to wait for a special meeting, but, we do have the budget hearing. You mean before the budget hearing?
Yeah, I know, it's some years in the past, it's been, a separate meeting where they went through every line item and discussed pros and cons and what's there and what got spent and what didn't. And
So I remember last
so that's
year,
kind of like two questions I have. That was one question. The second one was, when's the time to discuss upcoming equipment needs for either Mark or I?
you could do it right now,
Okay,
if you want to, no?
not really prepared right now.
Oh, okay.
You could bring
Well,
it to, you could certainly bring it to the next meeting,
Okay.
and then say, budget's coming up, and here's what I'd like you to consider.
So this is why, like, kind of why I put this on this agenda, is because in the past, when there's been like a special meeting just for the budget to go through line by line, it was like, kind of, I don't want to say waste of time, it wasn't a waste of time, but it was like we didn't do much, like it wasn't a lot of like, in this line item, change this to this amount, you know what I mean? So I thought just having it on this agenda with the other things, I didn't think it would take forever.
I just didn't want to lose out on an opportunity, to be frank. I mean, you were discussing some specific things, and I think, okay, we're done and gone for next year.
Do we have, is the budget hearing scheduled? No.
It's at our September meeting,
Okay.
like our regular September meeting, September 12th, I think.
And
That's
then-
not a final budget.
Right, so that's the budget hearing where people can come and say, I think that this should, I looked at the budget and what if we change this to here, and we need more money for sidewalks, we need less money for sidewalks, we need new water meters, we don't need new water meters, but people can give their opinion, we make changes, and then the next month in October is when the budget is adopted. Makes sense? So even right now, like, nobody needs to say, yes, I am, fully on board with increasing our fire contract, or fully on board with increasing the community enrichment to $10,000.
What, can you just tell me which one the fuel comes out of?
Yes. Yes. The general fund, it comes out of the utility line budget. Wastewater comes out of repair and maintenance. Water comes out of materials and supplies. And then I think MVH operating, maybe, don't quote me.
No, it's something I'd be interested in.
A lot of things are split, like general water, wastewater. General water, like when a bill comes in, it's not just paid out of like the general fund or whatever it's paid out of. General and wastewater and water.
Will we have the line items to review prior to the meeting?
Anybody else? Did you have anything, discussion on that? Was there any public comment on that? Okay. The next thing is commercial utility account setup issue. Do you want to explain this?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I guess. We were, in the utility offices, we're going over our commercial utility accounts. We found that when we got to, 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, we got a new meters and a new computer system and everything. And since that time, it was, for the commercial accounts, it's been reading it wrong because it was inputted or not seen in there earlier. So when one of these accounts has been getting a bill for a couple thousand gallons, in reality, we'll know next month when we read them, but in reality, it's probably 20,000 gallons because we put the decimal point in the wrong spot. So there's about 7 of these accounts, and the first thought, when I was told, I said, well, we'll have to change it for next month, but we shouldn't go back and charge anybody because we made the mistake, or we didn't make it. The other clerks made the mistake.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with this board. We just caught it. Anyway, but then another clerk was telling me one night, a friend, that the state sometimes makes you go after that money because they don't like to see it lost on the town. And their reason, I said, well, that's not fair. Our people did something. We made a mistake. And they said the philosophy was the state looks at it that those people also, the people getting the bill know that their bill all of a sudden is 2,000 gallons when it was normally 20 or 25,000, that they should have said something too, or nobody does that normally. So the thing was, I was told that you have to call up the state and get your board, ask for a variance, and get your, I guess that's what you call it. If the board agrees to not back charge those people when we start from here, that will be acceptable, and there won't be anything wrong. The state will accept that. So that's what we need to do. Unless you guys, we need to have a discussion and decide if we want to actually go back and charge these people for the last 3 years. I personally don't think we should because it would be a big hardship, but it would have been. I think that's where some of our lost water has been going and everything that we've been wondering and not accounted for through these accounts. If you have 20,000 here in 1 month and 30,000 here in a month, that can add up real. That's 200,000 or 300,000 gallons in a year. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, maybe we could have, if we had caught this earlier and known this, or done right, maybe so everybody knows out there, we have lowered the water bills, and they've seen it on their last bill by about 24% all across the board, and we could have maybe even lowered it more if this had been done right in the first place. But we're going from here for now, so.
Yeah, I understand. I think the commercial businesses should have made note of that, but agreed that it's our fault on it. I just don't think that it's right to go back and charge them for our mistake.
So, yeah, I don't think that a mistake that was made by somebody in this town should be billed to them, but I do wonder, since that happened before we split the utility office from the clerk treasurer, and the clerk treasurer was in charge of the utility office, can we recover that money using her bond?
We might be able to.
Might be worth looking into.
Yeah, that's why we have bonds and stuff, so I'd check into that.
Mhm.
Be nice to get that cut.
Anything?
And the reason you gotta do it too is because the acting present town clerk, so it doesn't get charged for this, for the back stuff, so we need to make a motion or something.
Yeah, I move that we do not bill the commercial accounts for any back payment due to a mistake by a town official.
Prior to this month.
Right.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to not go back and charge these, commercial utility accounts. Is there any discussion? Will you say your name and address for the record and then speak very loudly?
Vicki Beavers, 758 Main Street. Has these business accounts that are being affected by this, have they been made aware of this? And are they going to be prepared for the adjusted billings that are coming?
All, Jen gave me the list, and they've all been called except one. And, yeah, so, and they're aware of it, and they're happy that they're not,
Oh,
you know, a couple of them just shrugged their shoulders, and, yeah, that's fine. You know, I mean, they've got a good deal for 3 years, so, you know, but, yeah, I've got one more person to call.
Okay.
And then we'll have to, also, the state will need our ordinance and the minutes, and we'll send that to them,
Ordinance for,
or the motion.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Motion, not the ordinance, sorry.
Okay.
I was like, what ordinance?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like our rate ordinance, okay, that's fine. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. How do you vote, Mark?
It's
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that carries 4-0. Okay, town hall. So we need to make decisions about the brick for the front walk there and light poles for around the property. So this is the brick. It's super cute. I don't know if anybody else has any other suggestions, but I kind of love it. And I think that we should get some prices. Is it so cute?
So that everybody knows, this is the brick that Stan and I went down and walked around Lafayette, drove around Lafayette. This is what they use all around Lafayette. It's probably not the best, it's not the worst, but it's a combination of, some of us it looks good, and probably some it doesn't look good.
The
But,
grouping of four you're talking about.
Yes.
yeah, the grouping. And so, once we decide on the brick, then we can go ahead and get costs. That we have to tell the kind of brick, because they're all different prices. We tell the type of brick to the guys giving us the bids out there, and they can work that in.
So we pretty much just need to have a consensus that this is the brick that we want to get prices for. Is anybody opposed to this brick? Is there any public comment about this adorable brick? Okay. What if I had switched them out and you didn't notice and it was like pink and purple bricks? And you were just saying yes. Okay, so that's the brick. Okay, light poles around the property. So I sent you all a website that had a lot of options, which you could have got them from anywhere. But we need to choose light poles, so we're gonna put them along here, and then we're gonna put lighting along there.
Along the west side of
Directions
the-
are tricky for me. The west side of the building and this
The
side of
north
the
side.
building.
How many on the west side?
So there's 2 right now on the building, but I kind of think that a third one further down on the building.
No, wait, you're talking about, are you talking about standing light poles over there, or lights that come out over because the sidewalk's right up against the building?
Yes.
So, I think, or the arm that comes out from the building.
Well, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
So I love the idea of putting poles along the front here, but I don't love the idea of putting poles over there, along Dayton Road. But I do like the idea of whatever lighting we put here, we put something that matches or coordinates, I guess, because it won't be a pole, but on the side of the building, like the actual building itself, not a pole in that little strip.
That was my concern, because I felt like that was gonna be really tight if you're gonna put the actual pole, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be easier too, and it won't look so, there's such a narrow area and everything, so.
Yeah.
so you're talking about 3 on the side, on on the building, essentially.
I think 3, but I'm not married to anybody, I just think it would look nice.
And then have it out here.
Probably 3 out here going down to the church's tree there,
Okay.
to our line. It seems like the spacing would be about 3 of them. But
Is there space, like where the church is, where the line goes with the church? Would there be space if the church let us to put a 4th one, just so like the whole
yeah.
thing was?
Yeah, and it sort of looked better. It's the whole, we work with the church on events and everything, like movie night or whatever, or events up here in the past, and it just seems like this is our whole, like, town square, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like the town green, yeah.
But we haven't got costs either, unless they're
Right.
outlandish in price, but
So a minimum of 3, potentially 4.
yeah, I always thought 4. And somebody said I think when I called downtown, you can count on about 3,000 to 5,000 at light. Okay, so, but that was just again, I think I remember that right.
That's with the pole and everything, with the one on the,
Well, those would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Those would probably be, for a bracket that comes out like $1,500 or $1,000.
And so where does the money come from for doing this?
I thought you were writing the check.
Well, it don't look like we're getting any lights, I guess.
We do have money that we've not allocated for anything that we got from the government for the,
COVID thing.
mhm, that I think that we could use, or, there were a couple lines that I looked and I'm like, we don't ever spend this money. One was,
A lot of towns are
Something
using that
infrastructure.
code money though. They've made it real broad and fixing up their outdoor areas and stuff.
you know, the redevelopment commission, they got some money coming in if they wanted to spend some. I just put it out there, I wasn't looking straight at you, Mark, or anything. There was one that was like infrastructure or something, and I was like, oh, that's got a lot of money sitting there. But definitely the ARPA money, if we just wanted it all from one. Riverboat, I'm not for sure what riverboat can be used for. Anybody? Got a lot of riverboat money.
I don't remember.
Hmm.
But why don't we sort of decide on the rough style, and we can get a couple prices, and price them out. And that might make a determination whether you do the arm thing or the single pole or whatever.
Oh, yeah, so that was the other thing. So if you looked on that website, there's poles, you can pick different poles, and then the light on top, there's different options, and you can pick like the light that just like you have a pole and then a light on top, and there were like so many options of that. Or you can get one that has a little bit of an arm, and it's more of a pendant light. I don't know if you guys formed an opinion one way or the other, if you like the straight up ones or the ones with the arm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what you're talking
Do you have an opinion one way or the other?
about. I like the arm myself. But I'm used to it because I work over on the west side, and every time I drive over, Sagamore Parkway is lined with these lights all the way,
Yeah.
all the way from Stingy to West Lafayette.
Right.
You know. But you're gonna plan on putting the banner hangers on there too.
Yeah, on the poles.
And we can probably do like some towns where we actually change them each month, or different events, or each couple months, not just,
Like when it's my birthday, it'll say like, happy birthday, Jen, and then a picture of me.
So you're writing the check.
Oh,
Birthday present.
for my birthday from the town. Yes. And I do love have you seen the ones that have the flowers hanging on them? But that would be a pain in the neck. But they're cute.
I'm not a
Hanging
fan of those.
baskets?
I think they look busy too, just too. I think they distract from the banner or the flags. But that's just my opinion.
I'd get the banner and the light
Yeah.
pole, and then you can always add this simple bracket to hold the hanging baskets or something.
Oh, I don't want to, it'd be too
Or
much
some
trouble trying to
towns
say they're
don't
cute.
have them hanging on the pole, they have them a planter at the base of the pole.
Yeah,
If you do want flowers, which are easier to get to.
that's true.
Like downtown Lafayette, you got them all lined up.
Carla, what is your poll opinion? Do you like the one with the arm or just the straight up? With
If
the
we're gonna
light?
get the arm, I prefer the shorter arm, but
Yeah.
my preference really is for the, with the light on top. It looks more old fashioned-y, more, I feel like the one with the arm, the ones that I saw, almost a little, not contemporary, but just a little too,
Something.
too much.
So I kind of really like the one with the arm, but not a super long skinny arm, but just something because it'll be out here and like overhanging, like toward the sidewalk, toward the road. I like the arm one. What about you, sir?
I've always sort of liked the straight up and down pole most of my life. But as I've been venturing around to these towns and everything and seeing the arms on them, I sort of think they're a little more, they got a touch of modernness and contemporariness to it, but with the old fashioned base on them, I sort of like the arm.
I think the shorter arm will help.
But the short, I agree
We'll
with
keep it
Carla,
with
the
the-
shorter arm, you know.
We'll keep more within an
Not some
old-fashioned
way
style,
out there,
yeah.
you know, like the sidewalk on the other side of the street.
Uh,
So,
Okay, so, anyone else have an opinion about light poles? I like we're fresh out of opinions on light poles.
I think we ought to get pick out a straight one and one with an arm, get both prices, just in case there's some ridiculous price on the one with the
I was
arm.
gonna, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
And just go from there,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
decide.
And then installation too, because that's gonna be expensive.
Could you get solar lights?
You have what?
Solar?
Oh. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know if they, I mean, I don't know that you'd be able to maintain it. You might be able to supplement it with solar, but I don't know if you could maintain it for a long enough period of time. And then, I don't know if the batteries would have to be warmed in the winter, you know? That could be an issue. Because it'd have to have a battery backup, so you might be able to supplement with that. I mean, so many of these things you see on the roads right now are solar. What about the speed sign coming in? Is that totally solar?
Yeah.
It is?
It has a battery in there that charges up through the day, but it carries it
So
through the
somehow
day.
that works, so, yeah. I guess I'm not an expert on that, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking
Well,
about things that
When
could.
you or Stan or whoever is checking on prices, I mean, just see if that's an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, getting that panel on there might distract from
Yeah, wouldn't that
the
be
way
so
it looks.
cute? Yeah.
I don't know.
What?
The panel, the solar panel that's been put on.
Yeah, some of them are real big and nasty like others. Yeah.
Did everyone pick out their favorite? I have my favorite pole. It's called the Washington. I just think it would look nice.
I think,
I like how it's a little different, it has a little different base.
Mark, does that
There's
look like the
different-
one you sent a picture of that I copied but didn't bring him up here? When you had sent.
Not necessarily the big arm or the light, but the pole.
Oh, you're talking about the pole, right?
I honestly don't remember. Yeah.
So you want to pick the pole first, right?
Probably.
Yes, yes.
And then this is the other one that I chose. I don't strongly dislike it.
A ringing endorsement.
That's what it says says right at the bottom,
I don't strongly dislike it. Like this one is like an octagon, so it's like flat on the sides, and that one I think is an octagon, but it has like,
Fluted,
Yeah.
sure, is that the word?
fluted.
This?
The older poles were fluted. They were more cast.
Yeah, I like the.
Yeah, I like this.
that.
The fluted.
Yeah, the fluted.
It's fluted.
Gives it a little flair, so to
Yes.
speak.
That's not bad, as long as it's not,
Yeah,
it doesn't look as long as these.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is my favorite light. It kind of looks like this one, but not exactly. No,
Industrial.
I feel like they
Does this
strongly
Does this come out of a
dislike.
factory or?
I would say I
Turns
was,
out, that's a no.
I strongly dislike that one.
Oh, lights out on that one.
Yeah.
That's a no. Okay, does anybody else have any lights that they like, or poles? What do you have here, sir?
No, I think everybody likes it.
Not this light, though.
No, not the
Do you
light,
like the
but-
light that's on this one? Because I don't like this light.
I can't see what you're pointing
Do you like this shape of a light? Like
at. The light, or are you talking
not
about
the
the
pole, not
cover?
the arm, not the, just, well, this whole end here. Send it down tomorrow.
How
I
about
sort of
this?
like that.
Not the pole, the light.
A little too long.
Boring bell. No.
She'll mark that one, see what that's.
Oh,
Or
this one
something-
looks exactly like the one I just showed you that you all poo-pooed.
No,
That's not-
yours was something out of the factory. Jeez.
Do you like just this light?
I'm gonna be real easy to agree with you guys on whatever you wanna do, so.
Okay, so how about Jen, that pole and that light, price it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
This
get
pole,
some
this light.
prices.
And can we pick up one of these also? Globe light?
Yeah,
We'll need a single, yeah.
Do we like this pole for either arm or a globe light? The Washington?
but, yeah, you could-
It's
they can
fluted.
come that- they can come that way. I don't have a problem with that.
Oh, look, the downtown Lafayette ones are fluted as well. I have good taste. Okay. I think this is cute. No, wait, is this your favorite one? Yeah, it's this one. I love this light. Is it so cute? Adorable? Or historic, or whatever word we're looking for? It's the cutest ever.
Yeah, that's, whichever one you pick, my dog will like them all.
Oh, you're okay, perfect.
That was funny. Actually, I do like that one,
Yeah, that looks good, Jen.
except for the flower thingies.
Yeah, just the top, just the light part.
The light, I don't mind the pole either. Just kind of interesting.
Now we're taking a step backwards, we're reevaluating the pole.
Yeah, that's the one downtown, the farmer's market. Let's see the other pole.
This,
I'd be okay with either one of them. I'm just saying, I like that one too.
Yeah.
does anyone from the public have strong opinions about light poles?
This,
Come on, Vicki.
Vicki Beaver, 758 Main
Do you want
Street.
to come look?
Well, I was just going to ask, at some point, would the selections or selection be available for everybody in the town to see up on a page or something?
Like put it on the website?
Yeah.
I could put it on the website, sure. Or we could just surprise.
Yeah.
There's new lights, aren't they adorable? I think everyone who cares probably saw the agenda and showed up or contacted us. But yeah, I'm not opposed to putting it on there so people can see what's coming. Whatever.
At least say this is what we're looking at and getting prices for.
Okay,
They could outprice themselves and have to back up and regroup, but
this light is full. This light. There's also these lights, these like lantern looking ones, which I kind of dig, except the spiky parts. Are you more of a globe guy or a lantern guy?
It sounds to me like he's a dog guy, and that
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Carla, are you more of a lantern or a globe lady? But not the spiky globe. This one's no good.
Those are both globes, what are you saying?
So this one's like a round globe and it's literally just the glass. Oops, sorry. And then there's this one that's more like a lantern. I thought I printed one more that was a globe, but did I do it?
Actually, I do kind of like that one better. I like them both, actually, but I like that.
Oh, this was the globe that I printed. You see this very faint one in the background?
Yeah, we got the spikes.
You're more of a lantern? What I'm
Okay,
calling a
that's
lantern?
okay. Either one is good.
Yeah, that lanterns.
Yeah, I agree, I don't like the spikes, but I like the idea of that.
Okay, let me put this together. This one, these are pretty much the same.
That's the ones that are down fast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here, you can have all these leftovers that are hard passes. I'm gonna keep all of these that are yeses.
Why isn't he getting the yeses since they're pricing them out?
He can't be trusted with the yeses. I'm first in line, he gets them.
Jen,
Oh, yes, more public comment about.
well, about the globes,
Yes,
or about the top. You know, I personally like the look of the globes better, but I just had the thought that, you know, when we bought our house, it had a lantern, not a street light type lantern, but a shorter lantern, like along the sidewalk going up to a home. And it has the lantern shape in front of it. And Ron put it in front of the farmhouse on Dayton Road. And is it still there? Or
We
did
took out
it
the
get
wall,
knocked
it's on
down?
the side by
On the-
the little shop by the house.
Yeah, okay.
But it's the lantern.
it
Yeah,
is.
and it,
Like
but the
that.
story was that it came from down where the park used to be, down by the Masonic Lodge. There was
Kraus Park.
a gazebo or a shelter of some sort down there, and that light came from there. And so, you know, for the historic theme of the town, that might be something to consider. Although I'm
It
not
does have
sure.
that more, and I think that's why I like those with the
Yeah,
light on top, just because it has that old time feel to it.
well, you can get, if we like the arm and the lantern, you can combine the two and have the arm with the lantern. This one's just shown on the top, but, you can put this on a arm also.
I mean,
Yes, yeah, that's
I
still
don't
okay.
know how to be on an arm though, hanging there. It's-
It would hang like a lantern as opposed to, but I still kind of like it on top.
I'll show you later. We'll get mix and
It looks
matches.
better on a single pole.
Agreed.
How do you know you didn't see it on our arm?
Yes.
Okay, I'm keeping the S's. You get those. Okay, all right, so we'll get prices for that. Next on the agenda is Dayton Farm Fresh Pumpkin Patch, which, I don't know if I've said this before, I'm so excited about this pumpkin patch. I'm sure everybody's noticed it. Hopefully they realize it's a pumpkin patch and it's just not a lot of weeds. There's a lot of pumpkins, white pumpkins, blue pumpkins, super ugly pumpkins that are so ugly they're cute, like pumpkins growing other pumpkins out of them. It's great. So we need to pick a date and how we are going to go about dispersing pumpkins. So these are my thoughts, and we can change whatever. So the date that I landed on was September 24th, which is a Saturday. I'm thinking we don't want to make it at such a short time that everybody shows up at one time. So I was thinking like 2 to 6, have more time for people to get there. And I was thinking initially September 24th advertised as a Dayton, like the dumpsters, how like the dumpsters are for Dayton people, like the pumpkin patch is for Dayton people. So Dayton families or individuals can come and get their pumpkin, and instead of saying like, oh, you're a kid, you get one for free, but you're an adult, so we're gonna need to charge you.
Donation.
just a free will donation across the board. That way, if there are people that would really love to come get a pumpkin, but they can't really afford much, like, that's okay. Still come enjoy this pumpkin patch and enjoy the day, and, you know, nobody's gonna be standing there and be like, weighing my pumpkin, and you got a big pumpkin, and that's $5 or $10 or $26 or whatever.
So what day did you, for the first one for the kids, basically? Is
No, not for the kids, for Dayton.
For Dayton.
People
What
besides
day is
kids
that?
love pumpkins.
What day is that?
September 24th,
Is it on Saturday or
it's
something?
a Saturday. We could do it on a Sunday. Sundays have worked well for other events.
That's it.
I just picked Saturday, I don't know, what, do you think Sunday would be better? Anyone? Saturday's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and, so obviously we'll need to block off part of the pumpkin patch, like the area near the pumpkin patch and wherever we're gonna have stuff to do, or children roaming, we have to block that off from the parking, because if we just leave it all open and people park willy-nilly and there's kids everywhere with pumpkins, it's gonna be terrible and something terrible's gonna happen. So, we'll have to have like a parking area and then a place for stuff. So the stuff that I'm thinking is pumpkin something, treat, a pumpkin cookie, or a pumpkin donut, or a pumpkin muffin, or a pumpkin something else, pumpkin, something like that. Does anybody have any strong opinions about pumpkin treats?
Like just to have 4 people,
Mm-hmm.
here you go. Okay.
Yeah. In my mind, I would really love to also have apple cider, but that comes with a cost that I don't know yet because I didn't actually price it out, but in my brain it's really expensive. But, okay, one more thing. And also I was thinking, inflatable bounce house for kids to go in, because what kid doesn't love a bounce house? And I think those were all of my ideas that I wanted to mention. But I also want to say that BF&S, who gave us a generous donation for our children's box parade, found out about our pumpkin patch and what we're doing, and they are donating $250 towards that day for whatever we decide to do. Okay, I think that's everything that I had in my brain. Public comment.
Will the $250 pay for a bounce house?
Yeah.
How much does that?
So a bounce house is about $225,
Oh,
and then if you want to pay them to blow it up, you pay extra. Or if you get like a giant obstacle course or something, then I think it's more. But Midwest Rentals has a very cute police dog. Turns out we'll be right by the police station. Marshall Taylor's so excited. Look at the joy in his face. Yes. Anyway, yeah, that would cover the bounce house. Exactly. Yes, Vicki.
Vicki Beaver, 758 Main Street. 2 things. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of liability issues with bounce houses as far as sailing off into the air. What would be the liability of the town if somebody is hurt in the bounce house? And also, you had referenced the that it would be like the dumpsters where people had to show their ID to show that they're from Dayton. That's probably not going to be required.
No,
Okay.
no. That seems a bit much to be like,
Yeah.
hi, welcome to this wonderful pumpkin patch. Where's your ID? You know, no. And the liability, I know we have very good insurance, but for sure we would check that
We can
flying bounce houses would be covered.
I mean, if we're talking at flying up in the air and like people getting harmed, we would just need to make sure, number one, that we would tie it down adequately, and also the bounce house company, if are they operating it? Is that what you're wanting, or are they just setting it up? Because if they're like operating it, making sure there's not too many kids in there or whatever, they also may have insurance if we're hiring them to do that. If we're just saying, set up the bounce house, now we're monitoring it, then that would be on the town. And you could, in theory, do a waiver if you wanted, but I think that's probably, I mean, you'd have to have parents actually sign it, and then you'd also have to make sure that their parents who are taking them, and also you'd have to have someone monitor that these kids are associated with these waivers, or else the waiver's not
Right.
gonna do
It would be
it.
like, sign a waiver, get an armband,
Right, and then
can't
you
go in the bounce house without the armband.
Right, and then you're gonna have someone monitor that,
You're gonna have to have it staffed.
which you could do, but.
In my brain, we were just gonna have volunteers like Vicky Beavers, standing there, you know, making sure that it wasn't overcrowded or, you know,
I'm not saying you have to have waivers and armbands, I'm just saying you could,
yeah,
you could. But I just know the risks, so, I mean.
right.
Or maybe have something besides a bounce house.
I'm here for your ideas.
Just throwing it out there. Oh, maybe another inflatable, like an obstacle course or slides. They have the big slides that they come down.
Those are I mean,
I
do
think
they
you're
all
gonna
fly
have to stand
away?
around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Associated with those. I mean, as far as like kids jumping, breaking their arm, that sort of thing, I mean, that can happen at any.
Yeah.
To have one that you're gonna have someone come and operate, I believe, though don't quote me on this, I believe that they would then charge people, like they would say, yeah, we'll come in, we'll operate it, but we're gonna charge a certain amount to come in and use it
Yes.
typically.
Oh,
So, but then you'd be pushing the risk onto the company as opposed to onto the town.
We can ask our insurance company, because I'm sure they've been through this
I'm
many
sure they have.
times.
That's a
They
really
handle
great.
a lot of other towns.
And what do they recommend as far as what we do to protect ourselves? I mean,
Yeah,
lots of places have bounce houses for kids, lots of places don't require waivers.
yeah.
90%, I would say, probably don't,
right.
but that's a number I made up. I don't actually know.
I was gonna say,
90%. That's a lot, no. But most, I have kids, I've taken them to bounce houses.
Right.
I don't think I've ever signed a waiver,
Yeah, same.
so.
Same. Does anyone else have any other ideas besides a bounce house? Or does anybody hate the idea? Does anybody think we should just have the pumpkins and nothing else? Yes, public comment.
If we knew a farmer that would donate straw, we could have like bales of straw stacked up for kids to climb on or
Yes, my kids love that.
jump off of.
Fall off.
Does anybody have
Fall
a
off
farmer
of.
friend?
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you're a farmer, you have a friend that's a farmer, contact us. Do you have any farmer friends?
Couple, yeah.
Can I get their numbers?
Yeah.
Or have you seen those straw bale mazes where like, they're like maybe, like for little ones, it's just like one straw bale, or big kids, like you have two and then they have to find their way out the exit?
That would probably take a lot more bales of straw
You think?
than I'm guessing.
Well, hopefully maybe.
Maybe we could find some plans for one and see how many bales it would take.
Yeah. I do love the straw bale, I do.
Exploration Acres, you take their stuff. Borrow for a
Can we
day,
borrow that?
they did that.
Any other ideas?
Could
These
be
are
like-
good.
Like face painting or something like that.
Face
Get somebody out there blowing up balloons, you know,
Those are fun ideas.
something that somebody won't get hurt on.
Mark just volunteered to do face painting, so that's good.
No, that's not what I said.
I thought that's what I heard. What did you say? I thought that's what
You
I heard.
said suggestions.
Oh, shoot. Carla's gonna do face painting, so that'll be good.
You do not want me painting anything, I promise you.
No, I do like that idea, face painting. What kid doesn't love to get their face painted? I love that idea. Anyone else?
So, and all of these, you're just giving them away, or you're just doing free will offering for any pumpkin that goes out?
That was my thought, is that, yeah, they pick a pumpkin and then there's a giant orange bucket being carried around by Marshall Taylor.
I don't think
Just
you can charge, I don't think you can charge for them.
But just a free will donation or no?
Well, I think you can do that, but if you charge for them,
Yeah.
you may have to collect tax if you charge for them.
We were thinking about donation, the donation would go to the American Banner, or the
The
Flag
flag.
Fund and the Christmas banners. So people, we would announce that, people would know us, and they'd be more willing to give donations.
So are we all good with it just being a donation for pumpkins? Okay. Does anybody have any opinion about delicious pumpkin treats?
I think you do that with cider.
You do think it is? I'm gonna look into it. Where's cheap apple cider? What about a treat? What about a pumpkin something?
Donut.
Yeah, pumpkin donut.
So nostalgic. It's like my
Make sure
childhood.
little muffins.
Pumpkin muffins?
Those are really easy. Spice cake mix and a can of
Wait,
pumpkin.
wait, wait, wait. Make them like me?
Anybody, I mean.
That's a
anybody.
liability. Just kidding. Could we do that? Could we have like, I mean, do people want their kids eating something that what, like somebody's always making the food, but would somebody want their kid making a muffin that eating a muffin that I made? Instead of like a muffin that we got from like wherever, or a donut from the actual business? You know what I mean?
Let's check on some costs of donuts, and we can think about the muffins. If there's volunteers that want to do the muffins. Maybe both.
Anything else? Who has some excellent ideas? Were we all okay with that date and time? Okay.
We went around for pump candies and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Did you ask House for pumpkin, or they want to shoot
a pumpkin inflatable? No, I looked, I cannot find one anywhere. So if anybody knows somebody that has a giant inflatable pumpkin, that would be ideal.
Could be neat.
But if not, Marshall Taylor's been begging for an inflatable police dog bounce house, so. It's nice of us to provide. Okay.
He said he's going to man it too.
Oh, thank you, Marshall Taylor. How good of you. He didn't say that. Okay,
Oh,
I think that's it. I did want to mention one thing real quick. Let me pull up my inbox here. I'm so sorry I did not have this ready. I meant to. So I got an email. I got an email from the building commissioner, and it says, "We are sending you a copy of the final letter we sent to the property owner of 304 Dayton Road. This concludes our responsibility in this case per the Dayton Town Unsafe Structure Ordinance. We are considering this matter closed, and it falls back to the town of Dayton to do the follow-up enforcement. Thank you." This makes literally no sense, because this council has no business deciding. I mean, we barely should be deciding about light poles. We can't go around telling people that structures are unsafe and fining them and demanding they rip them down. This council should not be doing that. No past council has done that. No future council should do that, especially if they're shady people that are going to use it to attack people. So I forwarded this to Alicia. She's going to look into it. It just doesn't make sense to me that we are part of Tippecanoe County Area Plan. We are, the building commissioner does everything else, but then wants to wash their hands of this. It just doesn't make sense, and I don't understand why. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I know people are wondering about this
And
house on Dayton Road.
Is it just this place they're talking about? or
Literally
is it-
just this place.
Or
We
the,
also.
or the other, the structures that are unsafe and been
Right.
unoccupied?
So, just this structure, and, we have another case, I don't even know what you would call these, case with, a place here in town, I don't know if I should say it, I don't know if it matters if I say it, but like, they have let us know that there's these very dangerous things, and they have contacted them to get them fixed, and that was July 19th, and they said, we're giving you 2 weeks to get the property secured, and they said how to secure it. This is not the Dayton Road place, this is another place that the building commissioner is dealing with. And for some reason, they have not washed their hands of this. So this is still ongoing, this is still being handled by the building commissioner, but for some very odd reason, the building commissioner has decided to wash his hands of 304 Dayton Road. We can all speculate on why, but we don't know why. So I don't know what the next step is. I've turned it over to our trusty attorney.
The town boards have never, in 35 years or so, never done the enforcement. That's why you belong to the Unified Zoning Ordinance thing. Why area plan has always enforced them. Now they turn the enforcement over to the building commissioners. Both of groups have always enforced this stuff. They're the ones that write up people, determine if they're abandoned or safe or not safe.
Right.
It's not small towns' jobs to do that, to get into that business.
And it shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be because there's too many, you can use it for political reasons, to get back at people and everything like that.
Yeah.
And we're not trained to do that, nobody. The boards have always refused that, they've never done that. Even though we've had an ordinance before that you can fine them, they've never done it. They didn't ever want to do that because it leads to too much wrong use of the power, I guess. So something's really funny and it's ridiculous.
Yes. Public comment, yes?
Just reminiscing a little bit, I remember a time when there was meeting after meeting with complaints about the boathouse. Now, if you've just recently moved here, you won't know what that is, but the corner by the school, Conjunction and College, getting that guy to do something with that house was like pulling teeth. But every meeting, there was somebody here complaining about it. The town council always said, area plan's working on it. Area plan's doing something. They're being fined. They're going to be fined. It took years to get that guy to finally do something. And I'm not sure, did he ever actually do anything before he moved and sold the place?
He took an awning down over there, didn't clean up anything else.
Yeah.
There's still the junk and everything, and a concerned citizen bought the place and is turning it into a schoolhouse or an outdoor living center for kids to see a schoolhouse, log cabin and grounds and raised beds and everything.
But my point is that it wasn't the
Something to
town
do.
council that did anything about it. The town
No.
council is not an enforcement agency.
Yeah.
Could you forward that email to me?
Yes.
So, when, is it Dave Hiddle?
He's area plan.
Right, when he was here, and he was talking about zoning issues, right? And, so, these situations, they're not zoning situations,
No, they're in building situations.
has nothing to do with zoning.
Correct.
His office used to take care of that, but since when Sally Fahey was there, but now they're not, because they're just splitting up job duties and everything.
I just wanted to mention that, so that,
Send that to me too.
yes. Oh. Would anyone else like to email? Okay. I'm gonna send it to Stan too. He's not here. I'm gonna send it to him. Stan. Okay. Did anybody else have anything?
Yeah, don't
That's all
send it
I
to
have.
me, I don't look at that kind of crap.
Okay. Still-
You know, I don't know why we belong to the actually do the job, but
Well,
that's,
just understand that this is a new situation for building commission area plan. They've just switched these responsibilities, and so, it's a learning curve, part of it, and getting those situations understood, and I'm gonna try and figure out what used to be, what should be, and what is, and see what we can get figured out.
well, I can see they're changing it, or temporarily thinking about changing it, but they're changing it on one place,
Well,
and
that's,
not the other 5 condemned places in this.
that we're aware of, right,
in
and
this
so
town.
that's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to,
If you find
See
out
what we
any
can find out.
information from them, let me know.
Okay.
what's the address again on Dayton Road?
304.
Okay, having no other business before us, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.